I would take Chauncey Gardner-Johnson based on talent alone, and he makes the team better. I don't think the Eagles go that way. I think at this point they look at it as damaged goods and would not go back to that well, so to speak. Me, myself, and I, done. Eagles, don't think they're going to do it.
From the Marc Farzetta Show, our friend Marc Farzetta joins us right now, and we appreciate him taking time for us. Farzy, how you doing, bro?
I am doing fantastic, brother. How you doing?
Doing great here, man. So I think we're doing a little better than the chirping that's going on about your OC there with the Eagles now. So, I mean, hey, listen, too, you know what I have a problem with this, Farzy? This is Italian on Italian hate. So, I mean, I don't really like, we have Sirianni, too, I got accused of it already. So it's a problem for me because he's even got an O in his name. So I don't know. Am I making too much of this? But, I mean, how do you think the team has looked in the first 3 games?
I guess I can't criticize Patullo. No, Patullo, not Patullo. Yeah, there you go.
Patullo.
Yeah. No, I think it's been bad. I think it's been very you go through the first 4 or 5 series against the Cowboys to start the season, and it looks good on paper. You're talking about touchdown, I think field goal, touchdown, like everything looks really, really. No, touchdown, field goal. First 4 possessions. Things are looking really good. And then you realize, wait, that one was a scramble by Jalen Hurts. The other was a scramble by Jalen Hurts. Then you needed a 58-yard field goal to cash in on. The other was Saquon just being Saquon. So it's like, how much can you really look at Kevin Patullo and say, oh, this guy, I can see why. But instead, we see why he got passed over 2 years ago and definitely again a year ago. And still, I haven't heard the question answered or even asked. What changed? You passed over Kevin Patullo for that Brian Johnson guy. That obviously didn't work out towards the end of the year. Then at the end of the season, you decided to make that switcheroo with your defensive play caller, which was just weird. Again, this is 2 years ago. They happened to win a Super Bowl in between. And then why did you pass over Kevin Patullo again to go to Kellen Moore last year? Now that makes a hell of a lot more sense. You wanted experience. You wanted somebody that had that cachet about them. So that does make sense. But now all of a sudden, Kevin Patullo is ready for this responsibility. And anyone, by the way, while I'm on that note, anyone that is talking about the second half and like any type of a brilliant play calling by Jalen Hurts or a brilliant job of adjustments by Kevin Patullo, they were down 26-7 a minute into the second half. You throw the football, and that you're not even if you're the biggest running team in the history of humanity, and you're down to 1 wide receiver, and you got to roll out like defensive tackles at wide positions, you still throw the football. It was offensive football, passing football for dummies in that second half. But fortunately, the Eagles have a great quarterback in Jalen Hurts that can execute that. So that's why that worked out in the second half against the Rams above anything else.
Okay, well then tell me this. Do you think that Jalen Hurts has the straitjacket on? Or do you think that Kevin Patullo has the straitjacket on from Nick? Because let me tell you, man, I mean, all I hear this is my offense with Kellen Moore calling it, or with Brian Johnson calling it, or with now with Kevin Patullo calling it. Because at the end of the day, Farzy, if people think they're going to go back to like some sort of passing attack like 23, and they're going to change it because of what they did in the second half against the Rams, I think you're smoking hash if you think that's going to happen. These guys are going to go back because you know what they say as an organization? This is where you and my guy get the pushback. Hey, that you're not doing it, but then the organization fires back and goes 19-1 our way. So, right?
Yeah, here's my issue with the straitjacket thing, and I absolutely love Jalen Hurts. I think he's phenomenal, and I hope he's here for a million years and all that stuff. But I had a problem with something he said. It was like the first time I had a problem with something he said. When he talked to Pam Oliver after the win, and similar to the straitjacket comment and all that stuff, but similar to that, he said, we can't play the game not to lose. What the hell does that mean? Because I think if you polled everyone in the Philadelphia fan base, they would say that this is a run-first team, run the ball with Saquon Barkley. If that doesn't work, then you obviously have to make an adjustment. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs games, they get Kansas City Chiefs game, they get zero blitz 15 times in that game that Jalen has to throw against. They were running into that blitz a lot of times when they did run with Saquon, and that run wasn't working. They still got 88 yards on the ground with him, but still overall it wasn't working. Wasn't working against the Dallas Cowboys either. Guys are now committed to just putting pressure on Jalen Hurts in the hopes that you'll either run into the running game if they run, or you'll be able to speed up Jalen Hurts to try to make a mistake. But my bigger issue is, how is this all of a sudden a straitjacket when it was literally the way you won a year ago? Was letting Saquon dominate? Was letting him run behind this offensive line? Was that a straitjacket, or was that imposing your will on other teams? Because I'm not just going to flip-flop around and say, oh, no, now that's a straitjacket, or now that is, being afraid to really dominate a game. No, you do what you're the best at. Now, last year, that was Saquon Barkley running behind a Jeff Stoutland offensive line. This offensive line this year hasn't been terrible, but it has been a disappointment. And when you're the best in the NFL and you might have been knocked down a couple of pegs, that seems like a really steep and quick fall. So in the event you need to shift gears and become a passing team, then do that. And in the offseason, I was one of the few people, maybe the only one, that was saying, hey, in this next season, if you're going to ask anything of Kevin Patullo, what would it be? My ask of Kevin Patullo would be, hey, just lean on the passing game a little bit more. More so because 482 touches by Saquon Barkley last year for anyone ever in the history of football, that's a lot of touches.
Yeah.
Lean on the passing game a little bit. You got weapons at your disposal there. Do it. In the second half, they were forced to do it against the Rams. And going into that game, I said, the one thing that scares me about this is that we've seen the passing game atrophy last year. We saw it in the year before that, where all of a sudden it just hits a wall. Don't let it atrophy. In the second half, they had to push the emergency button. That emergency button was Jalen Hurts to these receivers, and it worked like a charm.
So some news broke today prior to you coming on, and that was Gardner-Johnson being released.
Wow.
And supposedly the word is that he was bitching about his role, and then they came in and they kind of restructured his contract so that they could release him because they were reinstating a football player here. And according to the collective bargaining agreement, that you can't trade back for a player, but since he's been cut, you can bring him back to your team. So here's a guy that, again, I'm going to make a case for both because there is. The guy's 2 times he was here. You won 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl. Reed Blankenship does not look very good without him next to him. With him in there, both those players were a pretty good formidable tandem at safety. Your young kid, Makuba, can grow behind him. You're hoping he beats him out. Maybe by the end of the year, you release the guy. You bring him in on a limited contract. He's not going to get that $8 million now because of the problems that he's had with multiple teams. It's low risk, high reward here for a player. You don't have anybody better than him right now. There's nobody better on the Eagles in the safety position than this guy. Would you at least entertain it with guardrails?
I'm the GM. Me? He's here already. He's already got in an Eagles jersey.
Me too.
It's already happening. He's already practicing. He's already at the NovaCare complex before the ink was dry on the release papers.
Sidney Brown can't tackle. He can't tackle, man. He cannot tackle.
Yeah, and look, I like obviously what you've seen in the first 3 games of Drew Makuba, and I know you're going to have the startup costs and all that, but yeah, that guy can play, and I feel like he's only going to get better. The reason I don't think the Eagles will do it. I agree. I think he has proven he can play in the system. He's proven he can play in the city. And yeah, he's here and you go to the Super Bowl. That's basically what it amounts to. Oh, and now you've basically cost you nothing in the trade. So yeah, okay. I'm meaning you're not resetting anything. You're just continuing to acquire assets. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, obviously. Why wouldn't they do it? Well, unfortunately, here's why they won't do it. Or I should say, here's why I would be surprised if they did it. They like Drew Makuba a lot. They had Justin Simmons available all offseason, and they never did anything to bring him here to Philadelphia.
Never broached it.
I thought that was science. I thought it was a guarantee that he'd be back in Philadelphia, but they love Drew Makuba. And let's remember this. Let's follow the bouncing ball with this because I find this so interesting. And it does involve Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Darius Slay. If you remember before Darius Slay was officially gone, and he was still here with the Eagles, but in the offseason, he was asked, I forget what podcast he was on or something, but he was asked about leaders on the Eagles secondary. And he was like, well, Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship's leader. He's great. And then he talked about like Quentin Mitchell, his son, quote unquote, talked about Cooper DeJean, talked about these guys, talked about Zach Bond, these leaders throughout the Eagles defense. Did not mention Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson could have still very much returned as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. He was not traded yet. Days later, boom, traded. Reed Blankenship, though, was the first name out of Darius Slay's mouth when he talked about leadership in the secondary for the Eagles. Throughout this entire offseason, every defensive player has talked about Reed Blankenship being a phenomenal leader. Drew Makuba, after he picked off Patrick Mahomes via the hands of Travis Kelce in KC, he came out and said, before that play, Reed Blankenship was the guy that was really talking me up, really telling me what to do, really encouraging me. These guys love Reed Blankenship. And I will say this, he got toasted by Devontae Adams on that first touchdown. Toasted, went for the pass interference, failed attempt at the pass interference, failed attempt to cover, 2 failures, 1 play. Then later on, I believe it was late in the third quarter, maybe early in the fourth quarter, he came up with a great pass breakup on Devontae Adams by just getting his hand in the middle of his chest and making sure he batted that ball away. I would take Chauncey Gardner-Johnson based on talent alone, and he makes the team better. I don't think the Eagles go that way. I think at this point they look at it as damaged goods and would not go back to that well, so to speak. Me, myself, and I, done. Eagles, don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, because I looked at the collective bargaining agreement. Now, you can't trade back for a player, but if that guy's been cut and he's a vested player, he becomes a free agent. He doesn't have to go through waivers, and you can bring him back, according to the collective bargaining agreement. So whoever's saying that they can't re-sign him, that's not true. All right.
Correct.
Tell me what's
He's
wrong with
available
Barkley.
to everybody.
He's available to everybody. So you tell me this here, Farzy. Why am I looking at Barkley? Barkley looks like New York Giants Barkley. I mean, I don't think it's Landon. Well, here I do. I think it's Landon Dickerson being injured. I don't believe that Cam Jurgens is back to being himself from that back injury. Steen's not the same guy, too. And you know what they're doing differently now, the teams? If you watch the Cowboys, you watch the Chiefs, and you watch the Rams, they're bringing blitzes to flood the lanes.
Yeah.
On first and second down. So they're creating and they're using pass rushing guys on every down now, and it's stopping the run lanes. That's why there's no space in the middle for him, and he's just getting clogged up. They're basically saying Jalen Hurts beat us. And that's why, again, they know the Eagles don't have a consistent passing game. That's why all three of these teams have been close. And if you think about it, all three teams have had the ball in their last possession for those guys to be able to win ball games. So, I mean, we're going to see a lot of close football games here, Farzy, until they can get that run game going. But what's happened in your opinion?
Well, I mean, like we were talking about a second ago with the Kansas City Chiefs game and 15-0 blitzes by Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, that was the shining example of just that. Look, it's a win. The only way we lose this is if guys in the next level miss their tackles. Other than that, we're going to limit Saquon Barkley by hoping he runs right into our blitz, or we're going to get after Jalen Hurts and we're going to win those battles at the line of scrimmage and get in the backfield and speed him up. The amazing thing is, I mean, the Rams went man-to-man a lot in the second half. They did not do that in the first half. They weren't as aggressive in the second half. I remember the second possession the Eagles had, because the first one was the sack fumble for Jared Verse. And then the next possession, the Rams came out 26-7. The Rams came out in the most vanilla-looking base 4-3 imaginable. And it was like, oh, they're just going to rest on their laurels here and just hope that they can't be torched. And then Jalen Hurts lit them up, dropped one of the breadbasket of A.J. Brown. He threw the seam on the 33-yard touchdown to Dallas Goedert. That was right on the money. Jalen Hurts, I am shocked that some NFL teams think he can't do this, because, and some Eagles fans after this too, after that game against the Rams, like, oh, all the haters are shutting up about Jalen Hurts. And I'm like, did everybody miss the Super Bowl? Did everybody take off that day? Because literally Steve Spagnuolo in the Super Bowl said, Jalen Hurts has got to beat us. And Jalen Hurts torched him. So he can do that. That's very much part of his game. again, it goes back to the Eagles, I think, making a conscious decision and the right decision to say, oh, we can dominate with Saquon. Let's do that. That's what they did all throughout last year, especially, ironically enough, after they played Tampa, they went into the bye and then they rolled off 10 in a row. But Jalen very much has that as a part of his game. I'd love to see the Eagles make that more. Maybe this is what Jalen was saying to Pam Oliver. Make that more of the option, especially while the offensive line is trying to figure it out. And while Saquon Barkley is trying to get in that same rhythm with the offensive line as well. And by the way, what you were saying about Cam Jurgens, I agree. What you were saying about Landon Dickerson in just terms of being 100%, trying to get back to that, I don't think they're 100% yet. And even, I can't remember if it was Steen or Mailata, but when Lane Johnson went out of the game, there was one period where Saquon Barkley was running to the line of scrimmage, trying to hit the hole, and he ran right into an offensive lineman. I don't think you could fill up one hand with counting how many times that happened in all of last year. And you saw it a couple of times there against the Rams. That, to me, is where you start talking about we've talked about not being in sync in the passing game. That's not being in sync in the running game.
I want you to help me out here understand this. So I've had people tell me that Jordan Davis is playing really good ball, and I think he is. Okay, then I'm going to flip this around. So in the first 3 games of the year, you're giving up 5 yards a carry per rush on a defensive line. The Rams ran for 160. I mean, they did 5.4 a clip. Kansas City ran at 5 yards a clip. The Cowboys ran at 5 yards a clip. Where is this D-line playing great when you're getting gashed and you're 18th in the run game? I mean, there's 2 issues right now. You're not running the ball well. And here, you take Jalen Hurts, what you said. If you take Hurts' rushing out of last game, the Eagles rushed for 46 yards on 14 attempts. Mm-hmm. Where the hell? The best O-line? That's not the best O-line. That might have been that team I saw last night in Detroit. Yeah. On what those guys did. So, I mean, Farzy, tell me what you think the defense is doing here.
I think they're embracing the bending part too much. Okay. And I don't think they're embracing enough. I mean, they're definitely embracing the not breaking part. But as far as the bending, like, I'll put it to you like this. Jordan Davis came up with that great stop on the 4th and 1 where the Rams were panicking. Sean McVay was panicking around midfield. And was like, we got to go for it because they're coming. And
ran down Stafford too. Ran down Stafford. That was another sensational play.
The 3rd and 2 or whatever it was. Yeah. That was insane. That was when Stafford broke out to his left and Jordan Davis went in pursuit. I just went, oh my God, he's going to catch him. Yep. And sure enough, he ran him down. But they're making big plays when it matters most. Yeah. But the in-between is haunting because it's in the same vein. I consider it to be the same vein as when you talk about, oh, we found a way to win. Okay, that's great for a short narrative of a small portion of the season. But if that's the way you play the entire year, that day of reckoning is coming. In 2023, it was the 1-6 in their last 7 games. That was the day of reckoning. They dominated 2 games that year. One was against the Dolphins. The other was against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Those are the only 2 games they won by more than 10 points. Everything else they were scratching and clawing for. The Kansas City Chiefs last year, they were scratching and clawing through the entire season. Their day of reckoning almost came in the AFC Championship game, and it sure as hell came in the Super Bowl. Now, you can do this as a defensive line, and you could win those big battles when it matters most. But if you're allowing a team to either dink and dunk downfield or continue to get the first downs on the 3rd and short yardage, then you're not going to get off the field. And guess what? Your day of reckoning is coming when they're not going to allow you, Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter, to make that play when it matters most. And guess what? They're going to do what everybody in the league does, adjust. And they're going to, next thing you know, you're going to start seeing swing passes to the outside on those short yardage situations. You're going to start to see I know we hate this here in Philadelphia, but it's a thing. The tight end screen you could be seeing. You could be seeing those drag routes across the line of scrimmage. All those things will come to fruition if the Eagles continue to not be able to get off the field on 3rd and short.
Yeah, I'm with you here, man. And how about this? The edge rushers are not playing well. I mean, Zadarius Smith had a good game against the Chiefs, but
good debut.
Dude, this guy did not show up in that Rams game. And if you saw, they were not setting the edge. I mean, have you been disappointed with Nolan Smith so far and with Jalix Hunt? I mean, of those guys, remember, those guys were supposed to replace Josh Sweat, and I ain't seeing that yet.
Okay. So coming out of training camp, the thought was, okay, well, I guess they're really banking on Nolan Smith to step up. I guess they're really banking on Jalen Hunt to step up. And then after that, you're going to have Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche. I'm hearing Uche more than anything now, but whatever.
Sure. Pick one. I mean, really.
Yeah, exactly. And all of it's been disappointing. And Nolan Smith I'll give credit for this for Nolan Smith. He's in the backfield. He's speeding up the quarterback. But when it comes to closing the deal, I haven't seen enough of that yet. Jalen Hunt has shown good aggression, good first steps, instinct, all that, not closing the deal. That's been disappointing. I mean, I'm still begging for this team to, get somebody, and I know that these are few and far between, but I'm still looking for this team to replace Hassan Reddick. And they only got further away from that when they let Josh Sweat go. Obviously, Brandon Graham was playing phenomenally well last year, not just in getting after the quarterback, but playing his position all around last year. You haven't replaced that yet. Now, what I'm hoping is, and for all of Eagles fans, I'm hoping this, that these are the first couple of games where you're waiting to see how these guys really emerge into these new roles. It's the what Jordan Davis said last year, and I don't think really took seriously until the end of last year, which was Fletcher Cox isn't walking through that door. Jason Kelce isn't walking through that door. This is on us now. This is on us. Nick Sirianni talked about this yesterday. The guys continuing the culture set by those guys, Brandon Graham being one of them. Well, these edge rushers need to realize that Josh Sweat isn't here. They sure as hell understand now that Hassan Reddick isn't here. He's going to be playing on the other side of he's going to be literally playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this Sunday. They need to step up. And I think that is going to happen. What I have seen so far has left a lot to be desired because guys just seem like they're not under pressure enough in that backfield.
Finally, how do you see this game Sunday playing out? Two teams 3-0. I mean, you could make the argument that this weekend, maybe the best teams, at least early on, because it'll change. Obviously, it's a week-to-week league. Yeah. But maybe coming out of week 4, the best team in the NFC could be determined at least the early part of the year between these two teams, and possibly too, Farzy. This may have a game to do with home field advantage at the end of the year when you're talking about seeding. So this could be one of those games. I think last week's game was big for seeding with the Rams. This week here, too, and you got another one of those coming up down the line in your schedule with Detroit. Yeah. So maybe this. I mean, those are benchmark games for potential home field advantage in Washington down the line, too, deep in the season. What do you see happening here with these two teams? Both a little bit banged up going in. Bucs more so hurt. Mike Evans is out 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm. Which is insane that guy just continues to put up numbers at the rate he does, and at the rate he also has hamstring injuries, which are just
big
insane.
Loss.
Huge. Eagles, to me, they win this game. This is a game that I think they come out and they look like that passing team that we saw in the second half. I don't think you're going to see a 350-yard game from Jalen. I hope you don't see that because that means it's way too close down the end and all that stuff. But for me, I just think this is a game that Jalen Hurts always has circled on his calendar when it comes to going up against Todd Bowles. 2 years ago in Tampa, they just took it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers during the regular season. And that was a game that we were all questioning whether or not Jalen was healthy because of a supposed lingering knee injury. I remember he ran out of bounds way short of the sticks, and he had plenty of room to get that first down, didn't do it. But the Eagles went on to win that game handily. But then they lose in the playoffs that year, Jason Kelce's last game, and then last year before the big turnaround, before everyone's big come-to-Jesus moment after the bye or during the bye when they're visiting Nick Sirianni's office, the open-door policy, and they turn the whole season around. That was a demoralizing loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a game that I think Jalen Hurts still has circled because the soundbite's still out there about them saying on these sidelines under Todd Bowles that he can't read a defense, keep on bringing it. He can't see the blitz coming, keep on bringing it. And he has not rightfully, no pun intended with the Buccaneers, righted the ship when it comes to playing that Buccaneers defense. And I think Jalen Hurts is just playing, especially coming off this Rams game, an extremely high level. And if they tell him going into this, okay, look, we still got to work this out in the run game. So it's got to be on you. You got to take the lead here.
Oh, they're 3-0 because of him.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. And I think that this is the game that Jalen Hurts, from start to finish, has this team on his shoulders.
Well, brother, it's going to be interesting. And by the way, just a little note here, having played in Florida, both professionally and collegiately, getting down there on Friday, that ain't really going to matter, bro. Okay, a day earlier, getting acclimated to the humidity and the heat. It took me a year and a half to get used to the heat when I went down from Connecticut to play at University of Miami. I called my grandfather up the first week I was in Miami, and I went, Pop, I want to come home. I don't want to do this anymore. And my grandfather goes, you're going to the freaking Army if you come home. and I went, I said, I guess it's the heat. Hey, man, yeah, that ain't going to work. I would have went down the last second because I don't want my guys in the heat. I want them to be you had to take care of all of this early part of the week and all your liquids and everything in because, dude, get this. It's supposed to be 86 humidity. It's supposed to be 97 temperature in that game. I'll tell you what, you better have a gas mask ready for you on that sidelines because it's a home field advantage, man. It is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. What a stadium, too. I love that stadium.
Oh, I love Raymond James. Absolutely. Yeah. Brother, I love you, man. I'll talk to you down the line.
All right, bud. See ya.